had integrity in everything that he did. His personality was serious, but humor. He was a gentleman. He was courteous to everybody.
He was very smart, very low-key, was thoughtful and cheerful, very good at legal analysis. So if you had a legal question, you would go to Tony to get his assessment.
When he was home, he was surprisingly playful. He had a lot of collections. He had collections of toys, children's books, political buttons. He was also a big reader, a huge basketball fan, Bruin fan.
Spent a lot of time surfing with Tony, and I spent a lot of time swimming ocean races with him, although he was much better than me. He was a serious swimmer all his life. He was just a great friend and a mentor, and he was a wonderful judge and lawyer and human being.
Rather quickly joined Lawyers Club, which was a relatively new feminist bar association, and Tony was always a member from the time he came to San Diego. He himself was a father, 2 kids whom he adored. And so it was wonderful to see such a good lawyer become such a great judge.
His reputation is for fairness. Judge Joseph always made sure everybody in his courtroom was heard. He was also a very serious judge, took the law very seriously, exceptionally careful, quite an intellectual.
He was very even-keeled. He was very fair-minded. He was the kind of judge that went out of his way to make sure that everybody got heard. He maintained order. If you were out of line or you were pushing the envelope, he'd call you to task, but he did it with dignity and respect.
Tony was an expert on Postal Commission issues. He was one of its first lawyers when the commission was adopted. He was perfect for that because he was so smart.
When he made up his mind, you could be sure that it was likely not going to change and that he had been very diligent in reaching his conclusions. He personally felt like he did the most good in his years on the bench as a family judge.
Tony was a hero, particularly to the family bar. He went into family court knowing nothing about family law, and he soon became not only an expert, but revered.
I think he would be proud of his time in the Attorney General's office. He was the chief lawyer who helped this brand new agency called the Coastal Commission find their sea legs and get to work and do a good job of it.
What Tony was most proud of was the contributions he made to the family bar, but also to the women's movement. He was really very active in Lawyers Club. When some disgruntled litigant filed to run against Tony when he was on the Superior Court, Lawyers Club had a big party at my house for Tony, and we had a huge turnout in support of his re-election. The bar and particularly the women just adored him.
He was also my mentor and role model throughout my whole life. I know that he felt like he was able to protect the interests, particularly of the children, in his rulings. He had a gentle side to him, and I think that he felt like his approach was one that worked well for the families.
Anytime you drive through San Diego and you go by San Diego Lagoon or Bataquitos Lagoon or Buena Vista Lagoon or San Elijo Lagoon, you have in part Tony Joseph to thank, because he was the key lawyer that made some of the initial rulings about how the Coastal Act was to be implemented, which resulted in the preservation of those things.
The Distinguished Lawyer Memorial is just a wonderful honor. It's one you don't want because it means you passed away. He is a perfect candidate for it. His memory will live on as long as we have our own memories.
Judge Joseph's professional legacy would be of intellectual rigor and care. It's very affirming to know that someone like Tony Joseph is being honored for his time, because I think that he made a difference not only in my life, but in a lot of lives. And I think it's really appropriate and fitting that he gets some recognition.
I think it would be remiss of our profession if we didn't recognize people like Tony. He really set a role model for a lot of younger lawyers, of which I was one, to see how you could be a trained legal professional and you could have values to make the world better and you could be friendly, and you could fit all that in one package and be really good at what you did.